long before electric lights, decorated trees, and wrapped presents. Christmas in London was something very different. It was darker, colder, louder, and sometimes forbidden. In medieval and early modern London, Christmas was not just a single day. It was a season, 12 days of prayer, feasting, chaos, and belief. A time when the sacred mixed freely with the profane, and when the city itself seemed to change its rhythm. This is the story of how London celebrated Christmas before the modern age, from candle-lit churches and roaring feasts, to a moment when Christmas was erased from the calendar entirely. In medieval London, Christmas was the most important religious festival of the year, more significant than Easter, more important than any royal event. The celebration began on December 25th and continued for 12 full days, ending on January 6th, 12th night. For ordinary Londoners, life was harsh. Streets were narrow and filthy. Homes were cold and poorly lit. But at Christmas, the city briefly softened. Churches became the heart of the celebration. Candles burned day and night. Latin hymns echoed through stone walls. The scent of incense mixed with cold winter air. Homes and halls were decorated with evergreen plants, holly, ivy, and mistletoe, symbols of life surviving through winter. There were no Christmas trees. That tradition would not arrive in England for centuries. Feasting was central. The wealthy consumed roasted meats, pies, and spiced wine. The poor ate what they could: bread, pottage, salted meat, but even they shared in the spirit. Games, disguises, and drunken revelry filled the streets. Christmas was holy. By the 16th century, London had grown larger, louder, and more unequal. The Tudor era transformed the city, and Christmas transformed with it. Under kings like Henry VIII, Christmas became a display of power and wealth. Royal courts held extravagant feasts lasting days. Music filled great halls. Actors performed plays and masks for the elite. For the first time, Christmas carols in English became common. Songs were no longer confined to Latin liturgy. They spilled into streets and taverns. Markets grew busy in December. Butchers, bakers, and brewers worked relentlessly. Ale flowed freely. Dice games and dancing filled public houses. Yet beneath the celebration, tension simmered. The Protestant Reformation changed England's relationship with tradition. Many began to question whether Christmas, with all its excess and disorder, was truly holy at all. Still, in Tudor London, Christmas survived, balancing devotion, spectacle, and indulgence, in a city obsessed with status and survival. As the 17th century began, London stood on the edge of conflict. A growing religious movement, the Puritans, believed Christmas had become corrupt. To them, it was wasteful, pagan, an excuse for sin disguised as faith. They rejected feasting, music, and decoration. They demanded simplicity, discipline, and obedience. Christmas, they argued, was not commanded by Scripture. As Puritan influence spread through Parliament, pressure mounted to reform or remove the holiday entirely. Londoners felt the tension in everyday life. Church services became plainer. Public celebrations were discouraged. Joy was treated with suspicion, and soon, suspicion became law. In 1647, during the English Civil War, Parliament officially abolished Christmas. December 25th was declared a normal working day. Churches were ordered not to hold special services. Shops were required to remain open. Soldiers patrolled the streets to enforce compliance. In London, the effect was chilling. No decorations, no public feasts, no singing. To celebrate Christmas became an act of rebellion. Some families secretly hung holly inside their homes. Others gathered quietly, behind closed doors, risking fines or arrest. In several London neighbourhoods, riots broke out. Citizens clashed with soldiers, defending what they believed was not just a holiday, but a part of their identity. For over a decade, Christmas vanished from public life in London. The city was colder without it, not just in temperature, but in spirit. In 1660, the monarchy was restored. Charles II returned to the throne, and Christmas returned with him. But London had changed. The old, chaotic celebrations never fully came back. The Great Fire of 1666 had reshaped the city. Entire neighborhoods lay in ruins. St. Paul's Cathedral itself stood destroyed. Christmas was once again legal, but more restrained. Celebrations moved indoors. Families gathered quietly. Feasting continued, but without excess. Religion became more personal. The wild medieval Christmas was gone. A calmer, more familiar holiday had begun to emerge. Before the modern age, Christmas in London was not a single tradition, but many. It was sacred and chaotic, joyful and forbidden, public and secret. And through war, fire, and belief, it survived, not because it was written into law, but because people refused to let it disappear.